Okay, so today we are going to do the solving of logarithmic equations. Let's do a quick summary of what we have covered so far, all right? So we will have a power x equals to y, which is an exponents form. Logarithmic form, we have log base a y equals to x. Okay, similarly, you are given the logarithmic form, you have to convert it to an exponent form, exponential form. Okay, next one we have a special base, and we will have log base 10 y equals to x. Now we can change this to the LG, which is called our common log. All right, and finally, e power x equals to y log base e y equals to x. Okay, log y equals to x. Okay, so down here we have two of them. Log base a of a, answer will be 1. Doesn't matter what a is, as long as it's the same value, then it will be 1. Okay, log 1 to the base of a. Yeah. Okay, so the correct way of reading it is by right, it's supposed to be log 1 to the base of a. But we usually read log base a1, which is not the correct way, just to highlight. Okay, now for the last one is very important. It's actually the change of base. So the change of base will be log base AB. If I want to change to log base, let's say C, it can be base 10, base E, or base C. Let's say I change to log base C. What will you have? Log B to the base of C over log A to the base of C. That is called changing the base of a logarithmic form. Okay, so once you get the paper, you are solving a logarithmic problem, please write this down. So the first one is your product law. Okay, that's why it's called the law of logarithms. The product law says that if I have log base A mn, the law says that log base A m plus log base A n. Okay, next we have the quotient law. The quotient law states that if I have log base A m over n, we will have log base A m minus log base A n. Okay, and the last one is the power law. Okay, after a while, you do not need to write down the power law because it will be very obvious. Log base A m power r, what will we get? Log r log m to the base of A. So what we do is when you have a logarithmic form, you change it to an exponential index form. Understand? If you already a logarithmic form, you change it to an index form. So I will have base 2 to the power of negative 3 equals to 2x plus 1. That's all. Very simple, right? So 2x plus 1 equals to 1 over 8. And hence 2x equals to negative 7 over 8 and x equals to negative 7 over 16. Done. Very simple, right? Okay, so now we are going to apply the product and the quotient law of indices. Again, please write all this down before you start your exam questions. Really, please try your best to do that. Okay, now I see that there's a plus, and I will apply the first product law. So I have log base 2 x minus 2 8 minus x. So this part is done. Next, I will have a minus. Then I will look at the quotient law of logarithms, and I will change it to a divide. Okay, so we have applied the product and the quotient law. So what do we do next? Of course, you can put log base 2 here, or I can straight away convert it to exponential form, which I feel is again faster. So you will realize later you have a quadratic equations equals to 2 power 3. Negative x squared, I do the x squared term first, then I do the x term. 8x plus 2x. Okay, again, 8x plus 2x. And the final constant term, I cross multiply 8x minus 40. I bring everything to the right hand side because I don't want a negative x squared. So I have a positive x squared bring over to the right hand side. The 10x bring over to the right hand side. And this part bring over to the right hand side. And please remember, if you never do any form of working, you straight away give me the answer, I will deduct your answer mark. You must either factorize or you must use the formula. Okay, so I will have x. So here I will have 6 and 4. So I have 6, 4 is more negative. But you must write this step down, even if you use calculator. So x equals to negative 4 or x equals to 6. What do you think we will do lastly? This one, please. Sound it out. What must you do? What must you do? You must check sub in, please. By now, A max is not the same as your E max. A max, you must almost always check that the answer is valid. One of the answer is actually not valid. If you sub this negative 4 into, let's say, this part here, you will get a negative log. You want to try and press your calculator, what happens when you press a negative log? It's an error. So we will reject. And the final answer is just 6. So for this question, you have a different base. And you have a power law here. So what happens is you need to apply the power law and the changing of base. And that will cover everything already, right? Okay, so let's try to apply the power law first. So what do we do with the 4 here? Okay, according to the power law, we can put it in front. Okay, the 9, usually we don't put it up and become a power. Okay, but the 9 here, we have a bigger issue. You realize that the base is different. So the idea is to change it to the same base. And changing it to base 4 usually is easier than changing it to a base x. So that's why we change it here. So how do we change it? What base do you think we are going to use? We are going to use base 4. So both will become base 4 and the numerator, denominator. What value do we have here? The big number, right? Then the x. Okay. So what we will have is 9 bracket 1 over log base 4x equals to 0. Why log base x4 is equal to 1 over, you realize this is equal to what? 1 over log base 4x. Can you see I swap the number? What happens when you swap the number? You have to put a reciprocal, right? Now, I want to change to, what was the thing that I said just now? I want to change to log base what? I want to change to log base 4, right? So, according to the change of base, what must be here? The big number, right? And then x, right? I know that log base 4 is 1. And then this one is, can't change anymore. A power x equals to y. The first thing we can do is, I change it to a logarithmic form, right? What will I get? Log base a y equals to x. I also can log both sides. I need to change it to log base c. I purposely log both sides to prove something later. Okay, I log both sides to prove something later. So far, okay? So I can bring the x down. And then x equals to log base cy over log base ca, right? So far, what have I done? I changed this to a logarithmic form. I log both sides. because I want to change the base, right? So I just choose a random base, C and C lah, random base. So now you see, you realize why I do this way, because I want the X from here, I want the X from here. Now you look at this term here, and look at this term here. Can you see that? In order to change the base, I need to put the Y at the numerator, put the A at the denominator. I have also, in this example, shown that log 4 to the base of X is the same as 1 over log X to the base of 4. Must you memorize this? Actually, don't need. You just need to know how to change base. You will get this by right lah. I also never memorized when I was a student. Now we use substitution, because actually don't need also can one, but it's easier to use substitution, right? Because this thing is very, very complex. Let U be log X to the base of 4. Let this be, because this is very complex. So now it looks very, very simple. It is 4U minus 9 over U equals to 0. Alright? 4U minus 9 over U equals 0. So it becomes a quadratic. Hey, by the way, can you all see that this is quadratic by now, after so many months already? Yeah, so this is actually 4U squared times U times U times U. Then I have difference of 2 squares, and therefore U equals to 3 over 2 or U equals to negative 3 over 2. Is the question asking you to find U? No, right? It's asking you to find? Solve for X. Alright, so we are going to sub and find X. And please don't anyhow reject. You all sometimes very happy. You see negative, you reject. Do not reject. Yes, moving up. Log X to the base of 4 equals to 3 over 2. Log X to the base of 4 equals to negative 3 over 2. Do not reject until you get an undefined term or you are stuck. Do not reject. Now, how do we solve this? 4 power this equals to X. Press calculator, you get 8. Do I need to reject 3 over 2? Don't need, right? So 4 power negative 3 over 2 equals to X. You press your calculator or you can use your common sense. Answer should be 1 over 8. Must I cancel? So now let's do a final check. If I put 8 inside here, is that okay? Okay, it's a positive number, If it's 1 over 8, if I put here, is it okay? It's still a positive number, right? Yeah, it's okay,